Nintendo hit us with a surprise direct today, revealing bunches more about the brand new ARMS, as well as some upcoming test punches and a little Splatoon 2 treat at the end. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I've got Jake and Gabe here, and we are gonna give you a rundown and review of today's direct that focused 98% on ARMS, the roster, the modes, the test punches, and then the Splatoon 2 single-player trailer at the end, which was absolutely awesome. But first, let's cover the ARMS stuff. Jake, what was your favorite part of the entire presentation?
Probably the boss at the end of the Grand Prix. I think that the introduction of a single player mode that has some unique variety, and it's not just fighting against the computer over and over again, but it has some linear progression to it and a bunch of different modes. Then there is like a stopping point ending boss, I think is a really cool addition, because this game obviously we know is like an awesome game to play with your friends, but now that we know that it's a complete package with something to do on your own as well.
Yeah, I was really impressed because Gabe, went and played a bunch of ARMS and got to see the hoops mode, the skill shot mode, 2-on-2, the new characters, but they held back even from that event. The volleyball mode, the Grand Prix, and all of sort of the online functionality and the different ways that you can play with other people.
The volleyball mode actually looked kind of cool. I was just expecting it to be like an actual just volleyball game, but yeah,
it basically is.
Well, yeah, but it's an exploding volleyball, so
that ups the ante.
Yeah, it's like hot potato.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it looked very, very cool.
There's also the 1 vs 100, which is also another like single player type mode where it's just a bunch of mini Helix looking guys that you have to take down. It reminds me of like the polygon battles in like Smash Brothers sort of.
Oh, good call. Good call. Yeah, I think the volleyball actually blows up when it hits the ground versus like on a timer, but regardless, it's nice to know that there was even more beyond what they had at the event, and again, really just fleshing this out. We got to see all the characters. They went through the different elements. They went through a bunch of the different arms. There's light, medium, and heavy arms, and I liked how they went through like the currency as well. I think it's cool that you earn currency from the different modes and playing, and then you get to spend that currency not on specific arms themselves, but like basically on like chances, on like a lottery type system, and you can buy it. Showed like either a small timer, a medium timer, or a large timer to go and try and hit the prize boxes, basically unlock arms. It really feels like they combine a lot of like the current stuff, like Overwatch type things, some Splatoon stuff, and built this game to be like a very 2017 style fighter.
One little interesting thing is like if you got a double of an arm you already had, it like levels up that arm, so you do like a little bit more damage. Like I don't know how that's gonna work for like balancing. I'm guessing you only get to play against people that are like in your similar rank when you're playing like rank matches and stuff like that.
Or if it's similar to like Injustice, it's only used for like local or only used for unranked, and then ranked evens everyone out. My guess is I think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, probably.
They did show ranked as well. They also showed what I was most interested in mode-wise, how the online will be handled, and they've got a nice lobby system which allows for up to 10 systems, 2 players per system for a 20-person lobby, and then in kind of an interesting fashion they group people together and let people play 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or whatever best accommodates your group. I thought that was pretty nice that it sort of just facilitates like your entire party quite literally.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people.
I don't even, do we even have 20 friends?
Yeah, we need 20 of you to play ARMS with us.
I was a little disappointed that there was no tournament mode. We were hoping for something akin to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where we could play with everybody from the SwitchForce community, or just have like a 1 vs 100 type gauntlet, with 100 people. But I guess we'll have to incorporate 10 people at a time, lobby wise.
Well, I mean, 17 people. There's only 3 of us. So.
Well, 2 per. That's assuming people have a friend at the system.
Sure.
Because it's only 10 switches that can link up.
Yeah, true.
Jake, when we saw the characters, how are you feeling about the differentiation between, how they kind of try and establish, okay, this is what makes Kid Cobra unique, this is what makes Twintelle unique. How do you feel about that?
I like it. I kind of wish they're a little bit more unique, but it's hard to tell without playing them. I feel like Gabe would have a better grasp of this, because just from seeing them in on the screen, they say like, oh, like Twintelle can kind of slow down time for a little bit, or Kid Cobra's really fast, or things like that. But I mean, they look amazing, and so I'm happy with their modeling. But as far as like how they each play differently, I haven't had much chance to play all of them like Gabe has. So maybe we can get some from our resident ARMS expert, Gabriel.
Look, the only thing I will say is that Bite and Bark is by far my favorite character, and he is the best. I like his charm. I like that it's a little bit of a handicap, really, to have the dog out there just helping you out. You can like bounce off of him to like get like really high in there. Some really cool stuff there.
I'm curious about how that's gonna work since he gives you a third arm basically.
Yeah, but it's not like you. First of all, you can't control it. Second of all, you can knock him down. And
okay.
Yeah, so he's not like constantly just there. Like if you hit the dog once, it gets knocked down and it'll get back up eventually. Yeah,
I'm sure he's balanced with like less damage or slower movement speed or something. He's got it.
Sure.
I'm excited to try Min Min with her ability to knock down punches with her feet, and also Kid Cobra just looks awesome with his super speed.
Yeah, and Twin Tail slowing down the incoming punches I think is super interesting. Like from a visual standpoint and just from a appearance, you know, they did a fantastic job. So much charm. We've seen tons of people say like, holy crap, Nintendo crushed it with the character design. On the negative side, I do personally wish there was more differences, or at least that it was easier to understand, right? Because we look at Kid Cobra and they're like, okay, he can dash really fast. Well, it can't, I mean...
Well, he can, like, slither, like,
Ninjara
down.
also dashes.
Yeah, but does Ninjara, like, slither, like, down?
No,
in the same manner.
And then, like, how is it going to work that Helix can do so much more than everyone else?
Well, the Helix one, like, when I played as Helix, it wasn't easy to control.
Okay.
Yeah, like...
But if you master that, I feel like that's going to be daunting to face someone that can raise, lower, and shift around so easily.
Sure, but some of the arms are kind of, like... You know, they shoot like 3 like vertical, so you can like get. I'm sure there's ways to counter it.
Yeah, I guess I wish that like it was more established. You know, like moveset wise, I don't know that they need to be like, okay, this is the fast guy, this is the strong guy. But if you think of other fighters, they have more distinguished moves, and I kind of wish that I could tell a little bit more of their distinguished moves. They didn't show the supers in the direct, but those will obviously be, you know, a very unique aspect to each character.
And I think there's some that are like clearly defined. Like Master Mummy is a giant tank that doesn't flinch and can heal.
True.
And you got like Ribbon Girl who's can, you know, double jump in the air repeatedly and has like a quick drop, and Ninjara can kind of disappear. So I think there's some that are clearly defined. I think it's just gonna take us getting hands on with them to experience it more. And I'm just like in awe of the different arms and how good they look, and like how they like have their own like company names, and then each one has like their own name, and they like reuse some of them. Like there's a Fire Slap-O-Mander and then like a Wind Slap-O-Mander, but they're called different things. And so like just they show like one quick picture of a chart that's 1 2 3 4 5 by 6, so 30 arms, and they all look so freaking cool. Like I can't wait to try them all out.
I think it reminds me of Borderlands, actually. Like the different companies that are making, you know, like, oh, here's this company's shotgun, here's this company's machine gun, and you know, it's similar with the arms. On the mode front, and Gabe, you can probably speak to this. Like, how do you feel about like the amount of modes, like how full the package is, and how did like skill shot and hoops? Are those things you want to play more than once?
Yeah, I actually like skill shot and hoops a lot. Well, hoops at first I thought was just gonna be this weird little like mini game, but I played it versus against some people at the event, and I legitimately had a good time. Those are like shorter, especially skill shot. You can finish like a skill shot match like in a minute, especially if you get the multiplayers. Like if you hit a lot of the targets at once, you get a multiplayer. So those can like lead to you finishing the round very quickly. Skill shot's probably not going to be my preferred mode, but I do like the basketball one quite a bit. The 2v2 one is just so chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
The
bad chaos, good chaos.
I wasn't super into it because it was a little too much.
Okay.
Of course, I'm sure you can get used to it, and this was at an event with like very limited time.
Right.
So, but like getting used to like the 4-player split screen on one screen, which is how we played it. I think that would like make it better just getting used to it, and like maybe playing online even where you have like your whole screen is dedicated,
right,
instead of it being split.
Well, and I kind of like the idea of when you get in that lobby, and they called it like party match, where it kind of cycles through the modes. So okay, like we're gonna do some fights, we're gonna do some skill shot, we're gonna do some hoops, some v-ball. I think then that becomes more like it's dynamic that way, right? And so even if it's not your favorite mode, I like that it's kind of going through it almost in like a Mario Party, you know, style, flipping the modes around.
Kind of like Mario Kart also, like
with the battle modes.
Yeah, with the battle mode, that's kind of exactly what it's like. So I liked all the modes. There wasn't like a single mode that I just like didn't like. The 2v2 one, a little too chaotic for my taste, but there are people that like that. There's people that do like, you know, the crazy like Smash where there's like 8 people playing. Like,
right, and they do have the ranked, the one-on-one if you want to just do solely that. It's nice to see that there is a segment of the game that is directed to single player. I feel like the 1 vs 100 is more of a single player thing. Obviously Grand Prix and having that be 10 fights that culminate in a boss, that I'm assuming is going to be DLC down the line. We'll get to that in the updates in a second, but I'm assuming he will be added at some point. But I like the fact that they do have at least some single player focus for, you know, if you're not able to play with friends or you don't want to do online multiplayer. Jake, I know that's important to you. Do you feel like this, like if you were just buying this solo, would you feel okay?
Yeah, because like it's so well incorporated, like, so even when you're waiting for a ranked match, you can still play other modes. So you could go do like 1 versus 100 or like a quick skill shot match or something like that while you're waiting, which I think is really cool. And there is enough single player now with like the Grand Prix and stuff. How repetitive does that get if you like beat it a couple of times? I don't know yet. But at least there is something there. I also want to point out that it looks like you can do a 1v1v1 with 3 people, which would be also very, very interesting to have that happen.
SwitchForce 1v1v1 confirmed.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Is that out of the main just versus mode?
It looks like, yeah, because it says you can do 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. So I was wondering
I can confirm that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that is also like, now you have arms punching in different directions. That's just craziness.
Super cool. I was surprised they didn't focus any more on the stages, because I think those are really interesting, and how like Kid Cobra's stage has an element that is wholly different from everything else, right? Riding on those hoverboards. I like how some of the stages seem to modify the gameplay in more of a way than just like, oh, you're at the beach, or oh, you're at the training dojo. Like, I like that they're incorporating elements of the environment and of the stages to add either difficulty or add a new, you know, kind of twist to the gameplay.
Yeah, there's a lot of like interaction of even like breaking stuff to, like, get around obstacles, or just like not letting, like, just either using them as barriers or breaking them down. I don't know if, like, depending on if you have a heavy or light weapon, whether you can accomplish that or not. And yeah, there's definitely a lot to each stage. It's not just like a flat surface with background.
Right, and the currency system for me is what's going to bring that replayability. So, like, going through the Grand Prix multiple times, okay, yeah, you know who the boss is after the first time, but getting more and more of that currency and unlocking more and more of the arms, and even with duplicate arms, powering up your personal favorites, it will be fun. They also mentioned that there's going to be updates a la Splatoon, and it seems like Nintendo learned so much from Splatoon and now has taken that mold and put that as sort of like their foundation for new IP going forward, which I think is super smart, right? So they said new fighters, new modes, new stages that will be added periodically, and I think that's awesome, right? Free updates are always a great thing.
They said new fighters, new stages, new arms.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. So I would think maybe a new mode could be on the horizon. Splatoon added that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's harder here just because of the fighting nature, but regardless, that kind of commitment is what's going to keep this game, you know, making this game more than just like, oh, you know, it's picked up because it's a summer Switch title in a thin lineup. Like, that kind of long-term commitment will keep it at the forefront, and I'm pumped to see, like, the design is great. So what new kind of fighters do they add? That's where Little Mac comes in.
No.
Yes.
No crossover. New arms IP over and over again.
That's where we get our new our new old favorites like Lil Mac and PD Piranha, all those good guys. But yeah, I think it's shaping up really well. I think people in general seem to have a really high response to it. From what I was seeing around the internet, it looks like ARMS like has won people over. What started off as kind of like, hey, is this Wii Boxing 2.0? Now, like, way more, and Gabe, you can attest to that.
Yeah, it's definitely not Wii Boxing 2.0. The mechanics are like way more sound than that. You're not just like flicking your wrist. That's not what this game is. This is more of a fighter's fighting game. I wouldn't be surprised. They actually like said that this is going to be at EVO. It's not going to be like like one of the main tournaments or anything like that.
Right.
But it will have a presence there, which for people that are like super into fighting games, that's really cool. So yeah, I think any worries that people had about like the kitschiness or like the family friendly like aspect of it, I think all that can be put to rest. This feels like a fighting version of Splatoon. That's what it feels like to me. Like, yes, it doesn't have like a single player like big like story or campaign, but fighting games, it's trickier to do that than with shooters. So I'm super into it. I'm excited for it. I'm honestly more excited for this than I am for Splatoon.
Yeah, and 2 test punches, which are basically like the global test fires, the weekend of May 26th, and then, what is it, the weekend of June 2nd?
Yeah, it's the following week.
The following weekend. So 2 consecutive weekends, or June 3rd, that we'll get a chance to play it from home, and you guys can get a chance to play. I think the download is available now, so you can go grab that from the eShop if you want to be prepped and ready for now 9 days, 8 days, something like that, which is cool. It's great that they're doing that. I think it's super smart to expose the game, especially new IP, to the Switch audience and give them not only like a chance to say like, hey, do I want this, but it's something fun to like look forward to, right? It's not just a demo, but it's an event. So you can say like, okay, this weekend I'm gonna carve out some time for the Global Test Punch, and Test Punch is a great name. So that's kind of all that there was on ARMS. I was surprised personally that there were no amiibo announced.
I didn't expect. I kind of didn't think there was going to be.
They have announced for Splatoon 2.
The new Joy-Con colors coming, so I think for that's enough.
I mean, we got Zelda amiibo, we got Splatoon 2 amiibo, so I was a little.
Maybe we hear about amiibos later. I
mean, that could be something for E3. Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears to Splatoon 2, and what I want to talk about first before we even get to the trailer, this was shown in the UK Direct. New Joy-Con, Jay called it, the pink and green combo, and
yes,
more importantly, a new Pro Controller for the first time, a new official Pro Controller that has not only pink and green handles, but has squids and different paraphernalia on the main body of the controller.
I think it's really interesting that they decided, granted they added the squids and splatter on it, but they didn't touch the color of the main aspect of it. They kept the black, like translucent feel to the main, and then they just changed up the handles, which I thought was an interesting choice for them. But I'm just so happy that I called this like a long time ago, green and pink for Splatoon 2. Like, that just makes me so happy.
And they are neon colors, so they keep with their like neon commitment.
It's amazing.
Neon yellow for ARMS, neon green and pink for Splatoon, and like the custom scene I feel has been like raging recently. So Colorware has gotten in on this, and a bunch of individual designers on Instagram and Etsy.
I saw Control Freak tweet out some very cool looking stuff.
Okay, so yeah, everybody's kind of getting on board, and it's interesting to see like, okay, Nintendo is doing more of the official ones, and this is the first official Pro Controller. What I like about the Pro Controller is while the Joy-Con are simplistic in their reskinning with colors, the Pro Controller feels much more game-specific with those squids. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they will use the Pro Controller as more of a creative outlet as compared to the Joy-Con.
I wonder, yeah, I think it's maybe it's just come out with like their hardcore games, or like their like the ones that they think are people are gonna be using the Pro Controller the most for, because like ARMS is made to use the Joy-Con as like punching mechanism, so it doesn't make sense to make a Pro Controller to come out with that. So I think they know that people are gonna be playing with the gyro, and they play the Pro Controller, and it's kind of like a more competitive type game. So I wonder moving forward if that's kind of the route that they take, that anytime they put out like a game that they think people are gonna be using the Pro Controller more for it because it's more of a competitive game or more of a classic type game that they're gonna point out. It'll be interesting to see with like Mario Odyssey what they do, if they just come out with a new Joy-Con set or a Pro Controller or neither.
Yeah, and I love that they are doing something with that main body that would be way harder for any individual to replicate, right? Yeah. We can paint a pink Joy-Con now, but we're not going to be able to like do the squids all over the main body. It's interesting too that they did another split set. I didn't know if that would be a one-off thing, but like clearly they love that idea. So the people that enjoyed like the neon red and the neon blue, you now have another split, and having 4 of those, like combinations are growing just like the ARMS combinations. Awesome. But let's move on to the Splatoon single-player trailer. I think we knew for a while that it was going to be in there, but it's great to see it, and it looks like it's basically like how I feel about Splatoon single-player is, imagine Splatoon in an amusement park and all the attractions are ink-based, and like that's the single-player. Freaking love the first one. So glad that it's back, and seems even crazier this time around, although it retains many of the elements enemy-wise and just mechanic-wise of the first title.
Yeah, I didn't play the first single player at all, so this definitely is very intriguing to me. So I can't really make a comparison, but it definitely looks amazing, and like it looks like they just transported Squid Kids to like a Mario world. Like it's very, very well developed and themed, and like looks, I don't know, it just looks super cool.
Yeah, and they bring back a lot of the octopi enemies. The bosses look like they're going to be crazy again. One of my favorite parts of Splatoon 1 single player was the bosses. And interesting, I'm sure this was a big fan moment when they bring back Marie, is going to be there, yeah. And she is kind of in charge of the single player. And there's been some talks about, is Callie evil? Because on the poster, it kind of makes her look like she may be a bad character in the game.
No, and I love the charm there that, like, she's like, oh, you haven't heard of me? Like, yeah. She thinks that she's like this big hot stuff, and man, who knows?
And just kind of like the continuation of the lore of the series, right? That like very much like this is a sequel, and so like they have moved on from popularity, and now she's trying to do something. But it looks to be a very similar structure to the first game in terms of a hub world, and then you access these individual levels, and maybe multiple hubs that help you move through the worlds. I did notice some new like mechanics and some new elements, but a lot of it did look like, okay, if we kind of took almost like a Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2 thing, like if we took the first game and then put more of our craziest ideas, that's what the Splatoon 2 single player will be. And like, I'm all about that. I think the single player in Splatoon 1 is underrated, and I think it's a great way to flesh out that package. And man, Splatoon 2 is becoming really big now with all the multiplayer, the co-op, Salmon Run, and now the single player reveal, looking to be super, super cool when that drops in July. Any final thoughts and just kind of an overall rating of this Direct for ARMS, and then a pinch of Splatoon goodness?
I think it was a great Direct, personally. Like, they showed a lot of information. You know, if I hadn't played all the stuff like prior to seeing the Direct, I would have just been blown away by the new character stuff, the new modes, and the fact that there's like 8,000 combinations of ARMS with characters. Like, they showed a lot of stuff in the 30 minutes, plus the Splatoon 2 little tidbit at the end. It was a nice little cherry on top, so I was happy with it.
I think it might be one of, if not their best Direct, because not in terms of like how much content there was, but just because in my head it just they keep furthering my faith in them that they are going to keep delivering new material that's going to be really clean and really fully polished and like brand new. They keep coming out with more Joy-Con colors, which was a speculation that we didn't know if they were going to do or not, if the red and blue was just like a test or not. They keep going with that. They keep coming out with new IP, new characters, new modes. I think it's just great that they're just continuing to push forward, and it makes me even more excited for E3.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, these gameplay focused ones I think are great, and that they go straight to footage, they go straight to the modes. It's basically like a walkthrough of the game, and I think that's really cool. And I like how they've tied ARMS and Splatoon 2 together. I think it really helps boost ARMS, and I think it helps keep Splatoon 2 as sort of the tentpole title for the summer. Both of them are looking really good. I just love that Nintendo has this way of communicating in terms of like bringing it straight to you, and not doing like, yeah, they did their big reveal for the Switch, but more and more I get bored by hearing people like talk about like, we went back to blah 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 blah, or like, oh, this game's gonna make you feel like, no, just show me the game, show me why it's fun. And Nintendo did a great job at that. So I agree, like, this is one of their most, I felt, comprehensive and concise, and still so cool.
It was a very direct.
It was the most direct of directs, and I love the announcement of the Joy-Con and the Pro Controller. I'm all about that with my crazy collector mindset. And then that Splatoon 2 teaser. I like attaching something on. So, oh, it's going to be an ARMS Direct, but hey, you get a Splatoon 2 update. Or, oh, it's going to be eventually a Fire Emblem Warriors Direct, but you're going to get a Xenoblade 2 update. I think that's really smart, and it all plays into them continuing this like release after release after release and keeping the Switch momentum going. So it was a big thumbs up for me. Still curious how ARMS plays without motion, and it was interesting to me, Gabe, that they didn't let you do that. That they wanted to show off, and maybe it's just to show like, hey, that the motion control is legit, and this is more than just a waggle game, and you confirm that. But I'm still very interested to see like, how does this play if you don't want to be doing that? If you don't want to be punching, and you're gonna play online for a couple hours, is the desired play style gonna eventually be Pro Controller, or a rank? Like, if you want to be in rank, you have to use motion.
So, quick question: do you think with the global test punch we get to use a Pro Controller?
Huh? Yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna show. Like, I'm guessing it's just gonna be versus.
Yeah, it has to be. I think.
I don't think we're gonna get like hoops or skill shot or 1 vs 100. I'm guessing it's versus. Do you think it'll be the full roster?
I don't think so. I would hope not, because I want people to be surprised when the game comes out.
My guess is that they provide the build that they had like at PAX South.
Yeah.
Do you think they mix it up between the 2 weekends? Like, one weekend they have a certain number, a certain roster, and then the next weekend they have a different roster?
Yes, I think that's what happens.
Either that, or like the first weekend is 1-on-1, and the second weekend they add hoops or something like that. Because they have done that before with Splatoon, but they're very good at like limiting the content, and I think they'll do the same. So let us know your thoughts on the Direct down in the comments below. Overall, I think we enjoyed it and are very excited for ARMS. We'll see you guys hopefully on the test punches. We'll be making announcements on streaming those and enjoying those with you guys as they approach. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Let us know your favorite part and how you're feeling about ARMS and Splatoon 2 in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from these Directs, their announcements, and the eventual games. Hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know. And for myself, Jake and Gabe, Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. SwitchForce out.